In fact, I want to ask this too, Seth, for your sector of the industry. I know it's true for where Peter and I spend a lot of time, and I'm going to kind of pick on Ted at the same time when I ask this, is when these fintechs start going into the new space or they're gobbling up the new companies, do you have concerns that A, they don't understand it, that they're not going to be able to be compliant, to be able to really meet the regulations or what the examiners are looking for, or that what you're going to expect in a risk management type program?
Well, I think the risk management piece, especially if any of these organizations are looking to partner directly with banks to have them as resellers of their solution. So think about in the Ripple case, pushing G Treasury as a workstation that suddenly gets embedded within a bank portal. And is G Treasury or Ripple combined ready for the regulatory scrutiny that's there? And from the
Mhm.
scrutiny that'll come from the bank. I think one of the things that I'm hearing is a constant, not so much concern, but just a way of easing these partnership deals is that there needs to be a track record on the fintech side of regulatory understanding, regulatory compliance going in, and that if there's anything that's going to prevent a partnership like that from happening with a bank, it's going to be that fintech appears not to take it as seriously as perhaps they need to. I certainly think with the case of a Ripple, they will prepare the G Treasury subsidiary. I'm not exactly sure how they're combining that piece in, but I'm sure whatever's needed, they will get to that in short time.
Now, here's what I also think is quite interesting, and Peter, you kind of spoke to it already or tapped on it a little bit there. The CFPB, we thought they were going to close there for a while. We've had some relaxation on SARS. We're basically seeing a lot of, let's call it deregulation that's taken place. That there's a lot of deregulation in the industry. And that's where, and Ted, if you got to defend yourself, it's okay. But that's where I get worried about the fintechs coming in, because it's like we want them to play by the rules. We want everybody to play by the rules. But what are the rules is what I'm getting to now, because it's got confusing. In fact, there's all the executive orders I'll tap into in a second here too. But Ted, anything to say about the fintechs coming into these new spaces,
Well,
growing in massive size like they are too?
yeah, so it's interesting because the perspective from the other side is that it's not deregulation, it's just not making rules based on enforcement anymore. So we've shifted from using enforcement as a way of a very odd approach to slowing something down to now it is we've started to get some clear guidelines. We've got the Genius Act, obviously, that came out on the stablecoin side of the house. That's really where a lot of the momentum has really been, is in the digital asset space, at least from my perspective this year. And a lot of these fintechs are also looking at it from the perspective of, hey, we want to play by the rules because we don't want to get shut down. Um, so we're going to dive in. And acquisitions, in a lot of the cases that I've been part of, the regulatory support structures for those organizations have been a key piece that each one of these acquiring companies have focused on, because they don't want to buy somebody who's going to get them into hot water. They actually want to buy somebody who's actually going to make it easier for them in that specific marketplace. So
Yeah,
I
in some
think
cases
that's
they
the
want to
shift.
buy compliance.
And they are buying a lot of these companies for the compliance infrastructure, for the compliance structures that they've already built with the traditional side of the banking and other fintech areas. So I think that's been a major shift for this year as well.